Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Charlotte. Today, I'm your host, and we're glad you joined us on this wonderful Valentine's Day. And we're glad you're here, whether this is your first time or if you keep coming back. We honor your presence in our wonderful, loving community. Now, today's talk title is The Power to Follow Your Oneness with Spirit. That sounds like love to me, for sure. And I brought a quote to go along with today's message. We each have a sixth sense that is attuned to the oneness dimension in life, providing a means for us to guide ourselves in accord with our ideas. And I'm going to say that one more time. So really things. We each have a sixth sense that is attuned to the oneness dimension in life, providing a means for us to guide our lives in accord with our ideas. And that is a quote by Henry Reed. So I invite you to let those words sink in as we listen to the talk today, and also the announcements about our new class that will give you the tools to actually live out that quote. Also, I encourage you later on today to check out our Facebook page. We ask that you leave a comment, and to share with your friends all the wonderful posts that we have on there. And if you're following us on YouTube, I encourage you to subscribe, click the notification bell, and the like button so you stay connected to everything that we do here. So now I invite you to just get relaxed and get settled in on this fantastic February morning as I pass the mic over to our fabulous, radiant Reverend Rosedale Jones.
Oh, hello, everybody, and good morning. Wow. Today, I want to say happy Valentine's Day belated to each and every person who has celebrated or you did not. But anyway, happy Valentine's Day anyway. So thank you, Alan, my fabulous right-hand man, for being our MC today. And I just want to, first of all, let you know a little bit about who we are. And I want this to go out to all of our YouTube listeners and everybody everywhere as far as virtual, that we are Center for Spiritual Living Charlotte. So I want to say welcome to Center for Spiritual Living Charlotte. We are the Mind, Body, Spirit Center. Now today, our topic is about the power to follow your oneness with spirit. And also, this is so powerful. February is Black History Month, and we got a lineup of people to celebrate who I'm sure have followed the power of their oneness with spirit. And that's what got us here today, our ancestors. So first on our platform is my friend and colleague and beautiful Reverend Sonja. She's all the way from Riverside, California. And her prayer is going to set the tone, and she's going to show us how to follow our oneness with spirit. Is that a tough act to follow, Reverend Sonja? Because you got to let it be now.
So I just invite you to join me in consciousness by closing your eyes if you're not driving, if it's comfortable for you to do so, as we invoke the loving presence of spirit. So, beloved presence of love, of wisdom that emanates each and every one of us, each atom in our body, in our system, in all over. As you look out of your window, your door today, you can see spirit in all things. And that's what we come here to celebrate today. So we pause in this sacred moment to recognize the divine that is within us and the divine that is within everything on this planet. And we affirm that truth, that we are not separate from the divine, that we are one with it, all of it. What a great thing to know and to embody in your spirit that you are not separate from the divine. And as we affirm that truth, we open up our hearts and our minds and our spirit to just accept the truth of our being, knowing that there's only one, and we are the manifestation, impartation, individualized as each one of us. So today we celebrate. We open up our hearts because it's the month of love. But we don't just say February is the month of love. We say every month is a month of love. And it is Black History Month as well. We know that Black history is American history. It's not just regulated to one month out of the year. We celebrate our ancestors because they knew within them, in their songs, in their resilience, in all that they do, that they were one with the divine. And so we take that feeling, those lessons with us each and every day, and we allow the power of spirit to flow within us. We recognize it. We love it. We know it. So today, as you take in the message from Reverend Rosedale, you take it in with every fiber of your being, so you too can live in that knowing. And when you're in the flow, all things are made manifest to you. And so I just let go and let God be in this service, in every part of this service, knowing that it unfolds perfectly. This is a divine appointment and that we have shown up for. So I let it be, and so it is.
And so it is. I see that our beautiful practitioner, Maureen Thurston, has joined with the Me Too about the love of Valentine's Day, and it's good to see her back today. So next on our platform is our reader, Jerry Campbell, AKA Groovy G. And I want us to listen very carefully to the reading so we can prepare ourselves to see how it is to follow that oneness with spirit, to get the sacredness of it. And with that being said, after Groovy's reading, listen to the song, I'm Here to Remind You by David Alt. Groovy, let it make it do what it do.
Good morning, everyone, and I am honored to share The Power of Spiritual Practice, written by our very own Reverend Rosedale Jones. We are more than the body we inhabit and more than the personality we express. We are spiritual beings with access to a powerful awareness. When we lean into our awareness, our lives begin to shift. Our ancestors understood this truth. They may not have used the language of quantum physics or spiritual science, but they lived by the principles. It's in all of us because it's in the universe. You just have to take time to know this. Our ancestors collapsed potential into freedom with courage, intuition, and unwavering faith. Today, we are invited to remember that the same power lives in us. Victimhood holds us in the past, but our oneness with spirit moves into the future. Every time we give our time to our oneness with spirit, we choose freedom. This is the heart of our spiritual practice, spending time in our oneness with spirit until the mind becomes our full ally instead of our hijacker. The mind is our greatest friend when we train it, and our greatest enemy when it controls us. Media can hijack the mind. Trauma can hijack the mind. History can hijack the mind. But our oneness with spirit restores the mind to freedom. This is where science meets spirituality, where a photon touching an electron becomes a manifestation in our lives. Interaction collapses the potential into the physical, and our oneness with spirit collapses the potential into freedom. This is the same power that moved through Harriet Tubman, Alexander Augusta, Abraham Galloway, and countless unnamed ancestors whose courage shaped the world we stand in today. They did not wait for conditions to change. They became the change. Every thought we think and every step we take adds to the collective energy of this planet. When we choose our oneness with spirit, we manifest freedom, healing, justice, and transformation. So train yourself to live with courage, receive with openness, and remember that we have the power to follow our oneness with spirit. The following is a quote from Reverend Rosedale Jones. When we choose our oneness with spirit over media, trauma, and history, we become the ones who turn our own potential into mind, body, and spiritual freedom. And so it is.
How magnificent you are when this is all over. That man, David Alt, Reverend David Alt, at the time, he is no longer in here, but that man pulled me from practitioner all the way out to minister. So then I had to take it the rest of the way. So what better time to have someone remind me again of my magnificence, because he used to do it all the time back in the day. So we're going to start with a short centering and relax our eyes by looking into our lap or closing our eyes if we choose. And then we're going to take a nice deep breath, really, really long, and slowly exhale. See, that song David sings, I'm here to remind you that you're truly loved, is needed right now for this time of, well, like Reverend Sonia said, it's every day, but it's just that I feel love. And this song is not just telling us who to become, because I became love, but it's reminding us of who we have always been all along. We've always been magnificent. And so the song calls us back to the identity that we keep forgetting. Remember, you cannot forget what you already are. So let it call us back to that divine identity right now, because it never left us. Let it call us back to our magnificence of how we are truly loved. And then deepen the practice today. Deepen it for the rest of the week. Deepen it for the rest of your life. Use the power to follow your oneness with spirit to do it all. Now, question, are you ready to follow the power are you ready to accept the power to follow your own oneness with spirit? Because we're all at choice, whether you choose to incorporate spiritual practices or whatever it takes for you to figure that out. But wiggle your fingers and your toes, and then as you float your eyes open again, look around your space and find something to connect you back to the present moment. So, why did I choose the power to follow your oneness with spirit? Because I did that all my life. I'm sure I did. And even when I became aware of it, see, the power to follow your oneness with spirit is the bridge. Just that power alone is the connection between the potential I talked about and the physical realm that we live in. So we get to get what's in the potential and collapse it down into this physical time that we live. And that's what happens between the potential and the physical. And so the power to follow our oneness is the bridge. So another thing about all of this beautiful stuff, just like Ruby said in the reading, our ancestors knew nothing about, well, I don't know that they knew that, but they did use it. They don't know it. But quantum physics, science and history, quantum physics gave us metaphors, right? So we should be able to say, dang, I got a lot of tools here. You know, science and history gives us evidence. So we get it. So why won't we use it? Spiritual practice gives us the how-to, the method But no matter what you do, how much you practice, your identity is the one that has to get that awareness so you can be the person who match with that manifestation you're looking for. See, we are more than a body and a personality. You heard that in the reading also, because I'm going to remind you that we are spiritual beings in a body. We are spiritual beings with access to this powerful awareness that we are magnificent, that we are really loved. So stop acting like you're not. Stop acting like because things ain't going your way, nobody likes me. Stop it. You heard Ruby talk about the victimhood stage. We were born with a guidance built inside of us. When we follow things like social media, it's fun. Let it just be that. But it can trigger fears. And when it does that, that's the mind being hijacked. Ruby talked about the hijacker. There's a lot of things that hijack that mind. And Facebook has a habit of reminding people of slavery and how the system was all against Blacks. But that's not done to educate anybody. That's done to incite reactions and keep you in bondage. Stop listening to that stuff because you don't even know if it's actually Black people writing that. It could be them that's throwing it. And I'm going to tell you why in a minute, why I'm so suspicious of all of those things that come up. In fact, the media itself divides all races. They hijack your mind which blocks your psychic signal. Now that class we got coming up, we're going to open that signal. If you feed into the things you hear people say, you hear on the media, you hear on the news, then your oneness with spirit is not with you the way you need it to be. You're living in the past when you start feeding into that stuff. And when you're living in the past, you and the oneness with spirit cannot be together here in the present. In other words, social media and other modes of getting to hijack your mind, they really are outside. Leave them out there. That's not your oneness with spirit. Let go of all those demeaning stories. And because I think when I look at some of them, I don't get reaction from it when I see it. I just go on there to see people or whatever. But when I look at the things that I say, I look at other people's comments and say, see, you're feeding this. This is you starting to, we got to get people to realize, let that go. When they try to talk to you about that stuff, tell them, let that go. And then return to the identity that matches yourself with that manifestation you're looking to get. Because if you start listening to them, you're not letting it go. You cannot, you're clogging up your psychic signal. When you stay aligned with a hijacked mind, you manifest victimhood. Stop aligning with that hijacked mind to repeat. Oh, he said this. Oh, they're taking history out of schools. How can they take history out of schools once it's in us? We embodied this history. We know about the ancestors. So teach that to your children and stop going around telling everybody how they're taking it away, because you can't take away knowledge from nobody. Am I right or wrong on that? What if the quantum field is sitting there just waiting for you to understand it? What if it's listening to meet you just where you are? Listen, because every single time we get somewhere, it's really listening and it's meeting us right where we are. So if you're in victimhood, you're going to continue to manifest that. If you're in a place where you're moving to love and you're moving to freedom and you're moving to happiness, now it's listening and it's right there. Because you know what happens when we learn what has been happening beneath our awareness all these years? When we learn what's been happening, that makes us want to say, wow. But don't say this is new, because it's not new. Following your oneness with spirit means that we're following the deepest truth of who we are. We're not following the truth of what they say we are or used to be. We're not in the past. Consistent practice dissolves pain in all areas of your life. So It's not going to just do it just because you think positively. No, but because you're relaxing constantly, consistently in your mind, your body, and your spirit, this is what's happening because you're not here to do this spiritual bypass with pain. Because people say, no, I'm not feeling that. No. Words alone is not going to cure. Pain is real. You just got to understand that staying in pain is optional. And your oneness with spirit is the way out of that pain. Forgiveness is this release valve. And every time you turn it, you release all that anguish and suffering that you could have had. Let it go. Turn the valve, because you can turn it and anxiety leaves. You can turn it and fear leaves. You can turn it and hatred leaves, because you are free. Spending time in your oneness with spirit is the path to that freedom I'm talking about. You can turn that valve and keep releasing every time you take that time in your oneness with spirit. Turn the valve. Your oneness with spirit restores the mind to the freedom. So don't worry about the hijack. You can be hijacked for 5 or 10 minutes, but once you wake up, hey, your oneness with spirit restores that. Many people believe that the quantum field responds to our thoughts only. Well, it doesn't. In fact, it never did. It responds to what you embody. It responds to you, and it gives you the exact match to who you are. You don't get what you want. You get who you are. And this is where most people get confused. To manifest what you never had, listen to this one, you must become someone you've never been. So your identity has to have a shift. You can think about abundance all the time. You can talk about abundance all the time. You can talk about prosperity. But if those signals inside of you, your body is tense, or you don't know what you want, or your brain is trained on loss, you manifest that loss. Let it go. That's your match. Figure it. Remember that. You are matching all the time. So don't be disappointed. The universe is doing what it's doing. Your embodied loss and scarcity. When you are feeling a lot of loss, you're embodying it. That scarcity, you're embodying it. So the quantum field doesn't judge you or punish you and say you need to not do that. What it does is just simply receives the information as something to reflect back to you. That's all it does. The field reads coherence, not words alone. So you can say it all you want to, but if you walk into a room and you're feeling insecure and your shoulders and your breath signals, those are signals to the quantum field that, nope, she's saying this, but this is what she's feeling. She's feeling insecure. So hey, here we go. Here's some insecurity. Words alone will not manifest your good. The quantum field is reading the signals of any insecurity, of any happiness, of anything that you embody. Now imagine that same simple principle. Just think about that, where the operating system now is the potential that I talked about last week is in here, even though it's everywhere else. But that potential is also the field in that room inside of you. And it's always there. And every time you enter into that oneness with spirit, you are already stepping into it with an active signal. Whether you're feeling upset, insecure, happy, or free, you change when your identity changes. And your identity is here. And this is why so many beautiful intentioned practices fail. Oh, I had intention when I did that practice. Oh, I had that. Let's not do logic. Let's not do it. Let's use that antenna, because that's the thing. You can visualize success. You can repeat affirmations till the cows come home. But beneath that surface, there's a silent peace in some of these people where they got this hope that I hope I'm making sense here. It's going to offset that internal state. And if you have not changed that state, you're going to get exactly what you're really sending, the signal. The internal state has to shift in order into a new identity in order to collapse the beauty that you want in your manifestation, the one you really, truly, honestly want to experience. So the quantum field doesn't negotiate. They don't it doesn't negotiate with us and say, oh, you didn't really mean that. Don't say that. No, it just mirrors. It just responds. It collapses into what you embody. Your identity collapses into manifestation when you are ready to experience it. And that's how that goes. So in order to create a new manifestations, you have to create a new identity to match it. Now, I said that 4 or 5 different times. We got to make sure we're matching. So practice embodying the next manifestation you choose, especially if you choose to really want to experience it. See, for years, I have been a student of my own joy. And when I learned that, boy, ooh, I didn't wait for happiness to find me, just like none of our ancestors waited for times to change. You heard that in the reading too. They became the change. Harriet Tubman, Galloway, Graham, so many of them. So I started to understand all of this. Is the more I evolve, I'm getting more and more information about different people. I practiced it until I embodied peace, happy, love. I told you years ago, I always wanted to be loved, and I am it now. I practiced abundance until my mind can no longer think about lack. I can't recognize lack the way I used to, but I did a good job back then. I didn't just ask for abundance. I built a version of me who could carry this abundance. Every class I took, every habit I formed, every choice I made was an act of an identity creation, and I'm still creating more and more identities. Because manifestation does not respond to what I want. It responds to who I am willing to become. So what do you think about you? So embody it. Embody what you want and be the identity to match it. Don't do it one day and say, wow. And don't do it a couple of days. Because just like all the supplements and the food that I eat, it took me a long time to get this health that I have in my body. It didn't happen just because I ate one good meal. You know, it didn't change like that. I wanted a fun career, and I wanted to be well compensated and happy. So I embodied this as prosperity, and I am all of that right now. And you can do it too. Don't just look at me. See, Harriet Tubman, she embodied freedom. You know how I know she embodied it? Because she kept going up that thing all the time, following her oneness with spirit. From the South back to North. You know how many times that woman could have been killed? But no, she embodied freedom so much that she was under the daggone radar. You couldn't see her. So she was like out of there. You have to be that well first in what you want. So she collapsed the potential into freedom. Alexander Augusta, he embodied medicine and leadership. You heard this in the medicine. In the reading, he collapsed potential into medicine and leadership. They told him the country said, you cannot. What did they try to stop him? Yes, they did. So what did he do? He went to Canada and became a doctor. I'm telling you, I love the history and I love the research. And it fascinates me. You know, and the guy, Abraham Gallo, he embodied political power and liberation. So what did he do? He collapsed the potential that's inside of him, and he made himself be that person to give that liberty to people and also to empower people. See, the 3 of them and many more did not wait for the conditions to change. I'm going to say it again. They became the change. Our oneness with spirit is the source of our true power. And since it's Black History Month, I want to impress something upon you. And this is real important because I don't think people really realize that this is still going on. It will never stop, but you got to wake up. Do your research. Much of what we were taught in school is distorted and incomplete anyway. Drop that and do your own. It's the history of what was going on was designed to shape how we think, how we live, and how we feel. And it took away many of people's psychic antennas. So know the truth. Do you know or have you ever heard of Willie Lynch? That's just to name one person that controlled the minds of people. Every daggone, even the Roman Empire from back then controlled the minds of their masses all the time. So let me just tell you a little bit about Willie Lynch. You know what he did? He wrote a letter in 1712. I'm telling you, even way before him, how to make a slave. And it said, the letter was written as the title, Let's Make a Slave. So you know what he did? The letter describes mind control methods during slavery. It also tells them the methods and designs to break people. Oh, they break people by their internal signet. They just stop people by taking away their name. That was bondage, but you don't have to keep doing it. So don't get it that I'm saying, oh my God, I'm so mad about this. No, be educated. This letter that they wrote explains how division, fear, distrust was used to turn the slaves against each other and keep them from learning their true power. Stop it, everybody. Stop it. Let it go. I don't care if you're black, white, green, indigo, or whatever. You are the one in charge of your mind. So just like I said, and back in the Roman history, I was reading that the other day with Caesar and all of them. Oh yeah, they was very nasty and they was torturing people to get them to do what they wanted to do. But I want to just say something that I really found powerful because Sondra and I took a study in Black history, the real deep one. It was really good. But let me just tell you what happened. The first thing they did at each one of their slave trades, because of I'm reading this from the history book, the real history, they took away the name of the individual they took into slavery. Because you know why? In our culture, many cultures too, your name is a vibration and it's your signal. And they worked to hijack the people's mind. Don't you know it? You know it now, so stop it. My name used to be Rosedale. I said, I don't like to be called that. This one sounds better, so it's Rosedale. I dropped the A and put E. Did you know that? And I didn't do it because I knew that. I did it because it sounded good and it felt good. That's why I love my name. See, don't take away somebody's name, expect them to be. People, the name is very important to people. It can take them around. So I got a quick question, and this question is going to really matter to you today. Do you want to activate your signal or reactivate it? The choice is yours. Don't go back and say, oh, I can't believe they did that to all those people. No. It's over. You can't do nothing with it. It's over. But we're celebrating people this month because we want you to see that no matter what jail they put people in, you can put them in the physical jail, but if their mind was not in prison, they came out of that. So you couldn't imprison Harriet Tubman. You couldn't imprison any of them that just kept running because their mind was there. So we're going to celebrate a person today that Alan has done a research on and how signal was activated. And when she got her signal activated, she helped activate more other people. So let's welcome Alan as he brings his magnificent person, she's still a magnificent person, to the stage.
For today's presentation, I chose an unknown activist who followed her unique oneness as a courageous pioneer in the transgender community during the 1960s to early 90s. Marsha P. Johnson was born on August 24th, 1945 in Elizabeth, New Jersey. She was identified as male at birth. After graduating high school, Marsha moved to New York City with only $15 and a bag of clothes. She began dressing almost exclusively in women's clothes and adopted the full name Marsha P. Johnson. The P stood for Pay It No Mind. To her, this was a life motto and a response to questions about her gender. She realized that the fastest way to make money was to hustle. This meant working as a sex worker. Marsha spent most of her life without a permanent home. She slept in hotel rooms, restaurants, and movie theaters. She sometimes lived with friends. Even when she found work waiting tables or performing in drag shows, she still made most of her money as a sex worker. Not long after arriving in New York, 17-year-old Marsha met 11-year-old Sylvia Rivera. Sylvia was a Puerto Rican trans woman who was also new to New York. The two became instant friends. Marsha taught Sylvia how to apply makeup, live on the street, and look out for trouble. She also encouraged Sylvia to love herself and her identity. Marsha's life dramatically changed when she found herself near the Stonewall Inn in the early hours of June 28, 1969. That night, police officers raided the gay bar. As the officers began to arrest people for violating various discriminatory laws, the patrons of the Stonewall fought back. While there are many conflicting stories about the uprising start, it is clear that Marsha was on the front lines. Young trans women like Marsha were particularly vocal that night because they felt they had nothing left to lose. Their rage was not just about the police. It was about the opposition and fear they felt every single day. The Stonewall Uprising was an awakening for an entire generation of LGBTQ activists. Soon, Marsha was attending rallies, sit-ins, and meetings of the newly formed Gay Liberation Front. She was excited about the work, but frustrated at how white gay men and lesbians dominated the conversation. She questioned where transgender people fit in. Trans people were more likely to be homeless and targeted by police. The movement did not appreciate the extent to which transgender youth needed help and support. In 1970, Sylvia came to Marsha with an idea. She wanted to protect young trans people living on the street by giving them a home. She asked Marsha to help her create a safe place where they could feel safe, unite, and fight for their rights. Marsha and Sylvia later formed the Street Transvestite Activist Revolutionaries, STAR. The first STAR house was in the back of an abandoned truck in Greenwich Village. Nearly 24 young people called the truck home. Sylvia and Marsha hustled every night to make sure their new family had breakfast each morning. One morning, they returned to the truck just as it was pulling away with STAR residents sleeping inside. Apparently, the truck was not abandoned after all. As they watched their kids jump from a moving truck, Marsha and Sylvia realized they needed a real home. They rented a dilapidated building with no electricity or running water. They fixed up the building and paid rent for nearly 8 months. When they could no longer pay, they were evicted, but the impact of STAR had already been felt by many. Even without lodging, STAR provided a safe haven for people who had never had a place to call home. As the gay liberation movement became increasingly white, middle class, and cisgender, STAR reminded everyone that transgender and gender non-conforming people deserve equal rights too. When the organizers of the Gay Pride Parade tried to ban STAR, they showed up anyway. Marsha's whole life seemed to be a balance between popularity and exclusion. Throughout Greenwich Village, she was known as Saint Marsha. Locals admired her ability to truly be herself. Marsha had a reputation for being generous and kind. She gave people clothes and food, even though she had little of her own. Despite her popularity, Marsha also lived a life of poverty and danger. She was arrested over 100 times. She believed no one should hustle or live on the streets, but she knew no other way to survive. In 1990, Marsha contracted AIDS. She spoke publicly about it and told people she hoped that they would not be afraid of those who had the disease. On July 6, 1992, Marsha's body was found floating in the Hudson River. The police officers ruled her death a suicide. Marsha's friends and acquaintances strongly disagreed. They thought it was more likely that Marsha was a victim of an attack. Trans women, particularly women of color, were regular targets of hate crimes. The LGBTQ community was furious the police did not investigate her death. At Marsha's funeral, hundreds of people showed up. The church was so full that the crowd spilled into the street. Since then, Marsha has become an icon of the transgender community. In 2019, New York City announced that a statue of Marsha and Sylvia would be the first monument to honor trans women in the city. In 2020, New York State named a waterfront park in Brooklyn after Marsha. And with that, I pass the mic over to Reverend Rosedale.
If that's not a sign that somebody's signal got activated, I don't know what it was. That arrest changed her whole awareness. And she went going after it in spite of what they were going to do to her, but she did it. But look, Star is still existing because of her. Thank you, Alan. You know, since the wrong people have been in control for so long, and now we finally see it, does that give you pause? Are you ready now to understand that forgiveness frees us from victimhood? So don't be, oh, I can't believe they did that. No. I no longer let that victimhood plant sickness in my body. Anytime you feel saddened or overwhelmed or just you can't do anything about something, let that go, because that's victimhood. So I'm not going to let that put illness in my body because I can't control. But one thing I can control is my oneness with spirit and my power to follow it. What about you? See, studies show constantly, I love reading these, they show that forgiveness heals. And after all this has been said, I'm grateful that I have the choice to forgive instead of get all upset and just ruin my whole life because of what they did in the past. So through my forgiveness, I experienced freedom, that same freedom that Harriet embodied. I've embodied it too. So forgiveness is not just personal either. I talked about collective a couple of seconds ago, but it's collective. See, there's this word that, remember back in the day, we shall overcome, those 3 words? Those words is a collective call. It collapses the potential into all of us healing together. We shall overcome. Let forgiveness open the places inside of you so you can make sure you're ready to be free. Get that identity right so you can get your freedom. It can help you rise, release by turning that valve so we can overcome. Let this invitation come together, bring us all together with the power that we can use to overcome. So that means that in our consciousness meetings, you know, we're going to talk about overcoming together because it's a consciousness, it's a collective effort. But anyway, listen to the song, We Shall Overcome by Nemo Patel. Every time I think about it, I just get goosebumps to just know that that collective call, just started with Martin Luther King way when he would sing that song a lot. That song has got us here today. And that song there is going to get the kids, our kids there. Because they're going to get to a point where they're going to start to think that we can't go on like this. You can see all this stuff and it's messing each of their lives up. Every time you get scared about what's going on in the world, it's messing inside your body. So remember these words, collectively, we shall overcome. If you can believe that forgiveness is going to be the thing that gets you to overcome individually, and then as a group, then come to our consciousness meetings, especially if you're on YouTube right now. Let those words move you into this consciousness meetings eventually on Tuesday nights at 7. Sit with the frequency of that victory that you have within yourself when you feel really good about what's going on in your life. So show up at our consciousness meeting. We'll be waiting for you. Well, thank you, Timmy P. and Alan. That was just phenomenal. I did not know anything about Fat Tuesday. nor did I know how much my talk coincided with it. That just tells me, Rosedale, you are on to something. So thank you for bringing that up to me, P, because I had no idea, but now I'm really after it. So just remember this. When you give today, understand what you're doing. I just figured it out. You're making an investment into a consciousness, but this consciousness is not just a donation. You are investing into a consciousness that has the power to change the world. Because I'm so tuned in, so is all other places tuned in with me. We're not just the only ones tuned in. You can hear that. Timmy P just said that, and it just reminded me. You are fueling what awakens people to their oneness with spirit, and that is the truth. And it's of the truth of who we all are. I'm not just speaking from a book. I'm not a textbook person. I'm teaching from the real power that I've earned. I'm teaching from the real power that all my healings came through. The power to follow my oneness with spirit all these years, and I will continue. So our investments are the power signal. You see, that signal that's inside of us is the power. Then we follow that oneness with spirit, and then it moves the potential and collapses it into your present being right here. Man, oh my goodness. And then other people find us that way. And when you soften your guard and you let your own resources be circulated, you begin to feel that same flow moving in your life. Align your giving with this flow, and you will change. You will heal and prosper all along with it. So, as I said, give, but ask yourself this question. Am I really willing to energize CSL Charlotte's mission to move souls to follow their oneness with spirit? And once you answer that question, go ahead, keep giving to CSL Charlotte, because it's going places. Now, we traveled far together this morning. We've looked at identity. We've looked at embodiment. We even looked at the power to follow our oneness with spirit. So now let's bring all of that to one simple truth. This is your life. That's the truth. This is your moment. This is your becoming. Nobody can embody your freedom for you. I wish I could. I said that last week, but you can't. Listen to this song. This is your life, and pay attention to the words. Say, do what you want to do. There's so much in life to see you through. Did you hear that? Did you hear it? Be what you want to be. Be strong and tell the world you are free, because this is your life. There's so much more in life to see you through. You get those words? Powerful. This is your life. Did I say that again? Can I say that one more time? See, the beauty of the quantum field is that it requires your eye, your heart, your movement, your work to move the potential from the quantum field into your potential and then into the physical world. Are you ready? Sonja, ready to pray us out now?
Sure. I love that song. When it was coming on, I was like, do I remember that? And then it all came flowing back to me. So I remember that song, and it was a great ending to a great talk. I took lots of notes on the power to follow your oneness with spirit. It was just so powerful. You know, Reverend Roselle talked about potentiality, born this way. You were born with that inner guidance. And as soon as she said that, I thought of Lady Gaga's song, uh, I was born this way. We were born this way with that inner guidance. And all we need to do is follow it. So I took another note and said, match with the power source awareness, match it. Like, look in that mirror and match that. You have to match what you want, because if you can't match it, then you'll never receive it. You'll never be it. So you got to match with it. Whew, man. And then she talked about opening the valve. So I don't know how many of you have a Instapot. I have an Instapot. I love that darn thing. But I do recognize that before I can open the lid up, I need to push that valve and release that steam. And so she was encouraging us to just turn your valve open, and don't let the things that are designed to keep you distracted from your purpose, from your power, from your potentiality. She had people that she talked about in the talk that collapsed that potentiality and just lived out loud. And so I just know she's inviting us today to live out loud. And she also said forgiveness is your release valve. We gotta forgive. And we got to let all those distractions go, because every single day on social media, on the news, people coming to you, telling you about, did you hear this? Did you hear that? And they mean well. You know, if it's your family, if your loved ones, they mean well. They just want to keep you informed. But all this media, all this news stuff is meant for your distraction, to keep you from living in the power and the presence of spirit. So I just invite you to join me in consciousness. In this sacred moment, we acknowledge the presence of spirit, that infinite awareness that is the source of all life, all wisdom, and all power. We recognize that is the presence. It's not out there. It's in here. It's an inside job. It is within us. The very awareness by which you know and feel. If you're looking out there for it, you'll never find it. You got to look within. You got to do that. She talked about that deep, deep work. You got to do that deep, deep work and go within. So today, as we leave this Zoom room, as we leave YouTube or wherever you're watching on, may you step fully into the knowing that you were born with a guidance that has never failed you. You have never been harmed. It is just as pure as it has always been. We need to tap in, tune in, and turn on to it. Allow that power of the presence that within you to flow within you. Don't recognize anything else. Recognize it. Recognize that it has the power to bring you in manifestation all your desires, perfect health and wholeness, prosperity. But you got to match it. You got to mirror it. We talk about, what is that we talked about? I can't think of the book right now what we have. And it talks about manifestation and matching that energy. And I can't recall it right now, but you know what I mean. So just know, as you leave here today, take this with you, that flow of the spirit is within you. And Reverend Rosedale is asking us to wake up to it, allow it to guide us, allow it to lead us, because it's always been there. And it's knocking on the door of your consciousness saying, connect with me, let me in, let me in. So may you release all memory of injury. Let it go. She talked about let it go. Just let it go. It's in the past. If you let it go, it cannot harm you in the present. And so, just taking a deep breath and allowing spirit to lead. Allowing spirit to lead you just like our ancestors did, just like Harriet Tubman did. You know, like Reverend Rosedale says, she could have been caught many times. But what was she listening to? What did she tap into and turn on to? That power within, that wisdom within, that has never strayed wrong from you and will never didn't stray wrong for Harriet, will never steer you wrong. It will never steer you wrong. It is a power of love. And let us leave here being empowered by that power of love and free of all that was as we embrace what is here and now. And so it is.
Wow, wow, wow. That's the icing on the cake. That's the strawberries on top of the cheesecake I had last night. So as we wrap up our time together, let's use the power to follow our oneness with spirit. Use this power to follow it, because when you use this power, you are becoming every moment of every day. So why don't you become that identity that matches? Sonja and I, Reverend Sonja and I are both trying to heart this. We're trying to hit that nail deeper into the wood. Keep forgiving so you can let go of your victimhood. You are the only one controlling your mind now. They don't have it anymore. They had it back in the day. It's no longer. But if you keep listening to that stuff, you'll keep staying back there. Let the present go. Let the past go. And remember this: the universe is always supporting you on your journey. Until we meet again, keep using the power to follow your oneness with spirit and see who you are becoming every day. Just really do that. And so it is.